most respects, I like and optimism, and in most respects, I like the approach that he takes. The one thing that I would differ just a little bit with Seligman on is I really think the key, and most of us do cognitive therapy, really think the key is to help people be realistic in their beliefs, not necessarily optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, if you're depressed, getting more realistic means getting more optimistic, because usually when people are depressed, they really underestimate what they can do, they really pull themselves down, they really
Mm-hmm.
underestimate what things, how things are going to go for them. So generally, people are way too negative when they're depressed, and looking at the evidence, looking at hard facts, finding ways to check things out, usually serves to help people feel better about themselves, feel better about their lives, and get you past the depression. What I wouldn't want to do is to encourage them just to think positive thoughts for their own sake. Our goal is going to be to try to focus on being as accurate as we can be, and usually when there's depression on that, in and of itself is sufficient to check the depression.
Yeah, but see, I think that that I am pretty realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just I don't know. I think well, I just think that life pretty much sucks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of terrible things
There are a lot of terrible things. Yeah.
and I isn't it well, isn't there a theory that depressed people are a little more realistic
Yes.
than
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing the one Seligman talks about. Sure. Yeah. And you think that's probably true?
yeah.
Yeah. You've had some pretty bad things happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I've done a lot of bad things too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that well, I think I should take responsibility for the things that I've done, but I also think that a lot of the bad things that happened kind of might have caused me to think
Mm-hmm.
or to behave in ways that weren't constructive or good.
For example.
Um, well, I mean, I just, like, my marriage failed, and I think I know that's probably 99.9% my fault.
Mm-hmm. How's that?
I just wasn't honest, and I just was selfish and lots of things.
So the things you can see in your marriage that in retrospect you wish you'd done differently?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any problem at all with that, and quite often I run into situations for myself or other people where the things that what we do didn't really serve us very well. Any idea why you weren't honest? Why you were selfish?
Well, I've never been honest for a long time in my life.
Okay.
Well, when Eric and I got together, I wanted, he had a perfect family, and I wanted him to think that I didn't have any problems, and so for a long time I tried to make myself look better than I think I really was. And then, I mean, that was part of it, and just not being honest about all my problems.
And help me here. Why did you do that?
I didn't think that he would want me if he knew.
Interesting. Interesting. So your goal wasn't to end the marriage. Your goal wasn't to end it. What you're doing is
In the end it was. In the end I wanted to end it,
right. But at the beginning, the reason you went honest was because you were afraid he wouldn't accept you.
Like during the courtship and.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you presented a rosier picture than you knew to really be the case.
Right.
Because you're afraid he'd reject you. How'd you sense that right now you're being very honest with me? Is that
Yeah.
so? Okay. Do you think there are any times when you have trouble being honest with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Anything you can try to do with that? Would it be helpful to be honest when you can?
I know I should be honest. You know, I mean, that would be more helpful to me.
Chances are. But it's going to be hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just tell you, between you and me, I'll understand if you have trouble doing that. Okay. Try it. Again, I think you're right. You'll probably help yourself with therapy, but I'll certainly understand that. It's when it's kind of working. And maybe if it gets that happening, then you know there's times to note it at least to yourself. still not sure, but until you're ready. But pay attention, pay particular attention to what your thoughts are, because I have a hunch that there are things that go through your head, like I'm not being rejected, or hardest feelings, or anything else, which may or may not be true, that will affect how you feel and what you do, whether they're true or not. That's part of what we've been focused on.
Okay. Do you think, do you think you would know if I were lying?
I can't read minds. I can't read minds. What do you think?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I've gotten too good at doing it.
To be honest, I'm not, I'm usually well intentioned, I'm sometimes a little naive, and that's kind of Pollyanna in the sense that generally people can work things out, they stick in there and hang with things, and sometimes I can be fooled, and others I think some other people can. Do you think that would be enough?
But, I mean, I think, well, I want you to know that if I lied to you, it would be more, not to manipulate you, but to, and not that I'm above manipulation,
Yeah.
but, it would just be more, I don't know, because if you knew the truth, you might not like me or something. It would be more to serve
protect
what I
yourself.
think, yeah.
And the reason I mention that is, it's, you know, it's no big deal whether, be as honest as you feel like being, it's no big deal when we're going to work with that either way. My hunch is it'll give us some really good grist for the mill, because sometimes some of the things that screw up things for you is the sense that you have to protect yourself, and that you can't be honest, that you just can't be yourself. And I get the sense that sometimes you really doubt that anybody could really like you or could respect you or could approach you when you're just being you, and that's a lot of what you have to carry around. I think that's one of the residual scars that came from all the stuff that I do remember.
Yeah.
And nothing else, that we have to get past that in the process of being here. That would be a real next time.
Yeah.
So I don't, I was,
I
always kind of hope it happens, because I think it'd be helpful for the process if it does.
That you hope that I can get over lying?
Or I hope that you have trouble not being honest with me, something like that. I hope that sometimes you have trouble being honest with me.
I will.
Good. Okay,
I
good.
can guarantee you that
Super.
will happen.
Super. If it didn't happen, we'd have trouble working on it. If it does happen, then we can do something with that.
Okay, good.
Gotcha.
That's kind of funny for you to say it. That reminds me, I was thinking with her, the one question that really struck this morning and today was just awful, because I guess I felt guilty and overwhelmed about school.
Having a lot of thoughts come through your head about not doing well enough?
Well, I just felt like today that it's just different. Being around all these people that are married.
Oh. This was at school. Okay. What were you thinking about when you were around folks that were married?
Just that I feel out of place.
Okay, how so?
I just think that, well, I think that everybody wants to ask me lots of questions about it.
You're really starting to tear up.
I know, I'm tired.
For you. Yeah. Okay. There are tissues for you there if you want them. Okay. So you're really getting by just a couple hours sleep a night. Over the weekend you had some social engagements. You were able to go ahead and be part of those.
Yeah, but I stayed out way too late.
May have worn yourself out even a little more. And at school today, as you're going about your business, this is the first day that you had to be there. What were you doing today at school?
Sitting in the library all day. Just, you know, I mean, I didn't get any work done in my room. It was just meetings.
Oh, you're having meetings with other teachers?
Well, the whole faculty.
Okay. They were all there. And while you were sitting there, is
And
that...
say I'm a new person too.
Say what?
I'm new. I'm a new person.
Right, it's a new person coming in.
Yeah.
Is that uncomfortable for you?
Yeah. Well, it usually isn't, but
Today it felt that way. Yeah. You think it had anything to do with sitting there thinking that you're kind of out of place, I'm not married, these other folks are? Okay. Usually this would be a good first day for you. Or might
yeah,
have been. Yeah. Okay.
usually.
Now, what evidence do you have that other people were curious about how come you got married?
Well, this one lady just kept asking me. I could tell, she just kept looking at me. I could just tell. And she was asking me about where I'd been in the last, because you know I caught here 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just what I'd been doing. Like, she didn't come right out and say, well, why did you move to Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
Or why were you in New York? But she would have
Mm-hmm.
if I hadn't walked away.
I see. Now let me ask you, if you hadn't walked away and she had asked, what would you have said?
That, I guess I would have had, what else could I say? I'd have to say I was married at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me ask, do you necessarily have to say that if you choose not to?
Well, what else could I say?
Could you move away because you want to try another city, try another job?
I guess.
Mm-hmm. I'm just
But I
curious.
still wear my ring on my right hand. It's obvious.
Okay, help me here because I don't know exactly what that means. What's it mean?
This is my wedding
Wedding ring, I see. And when you wear it on the right hand, that means?
Well, I don't wear it on my left hand because I'm not married anymore.
Okay. And let me ask one more question down this line. It sounds like it's very disconcerting to you that you're not married anymore and you feel kind of embarrassed around other people. How come?
Not around all other people, but I just feel, I mean, that's just such a, you know, these are people that I work with, so.
People you're going to be working with.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm going to be around them a lot, so.
Uh-huh. And help me here. I know nobody gets married to get divorced, but you have the sense that it means something about you. What does it mean about you?
That I'm a failure.
Oh, interesting. You really do believe that? Okay.
Well, I mean, the whole thing was my fault anyway.
Mm-hmm. I'd really like to be sure we spend some time looking very concretely at what you can do, but this sounds like this is a very upsetting thing to you. Okay. Can you think of any other possible explanation for why the marriage may not have lasted other than you're a failure?
Mm-mm.
Okay. And how much responsibility do you give to yourself for the marriage not lasting?
Wait, 98
98% of it?
or 99.
Okay. So, we were just to draw a circle. Make this marriage doesn't last. And if we were to treat this like a pie, we're going to slice up this pie. You're going to give You're going to say that 98% of the reason why the marriage didn't last is because of you, because you're a failure. Okay. Can you think of any other things that may have gone on in that relationship?
Mm-mm.
Interesting. It's almost all, wholly responsible to you. Okay. Hmm. And if that were what you believe, I can understand why you might feel kind of embarrassed around other people. Because if they knew that you were married, then they got to know that you're a failure. And they got to know that you're not very good at these kinds of things.
Well, and plus, you know, people are so damn nosy. And
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Some people can be. Some people can be. Just for curiosity's sake, in this 98% of that's your responsibility, I'm kind of curious, what did you do that let you know that you're a failure? What ways were you a failure?
I lied.
Okay, I lied. What else?
I wasn't myself. I totally put on a complete show. Or wasn't honest about everything up front.
show. Okay. Let me ask you, so those are some of the things that you did that you think led to your marriage failing. You lied. I remember you telling me about you lied about your family background, and you weren't totally honest. You weren't really yourself, and those are things that perhaps got in your way. Can you think of any other factors that may have contributed to your marriage not lasting, in addition to you weren't always honest and you weren't always yourself?
I didn't even try.
You didn't even try.
Well, I mean, I didn't, and I don't think that I took my wedding vows seriously. I mean, I took everything for granted.
Okay.
And I was very selfish. I didn't put any effort in making the relationship work.
Well, let me ask you, if you'd been wholly direct with Eric, wholly honest, put on a show, etc., do you think the marriage would necessarily have succeeded?
Yeah, well, I mean, if I hadn't, I would have probably done something later on to screw it up, but probably would have lasted longer than it did.
How long did it last?
2 years.
2 years, okay. Can you think of any other things that could have been there that could have affected the relationship, independent of you? Was Eric perfectly well suited to being married? How would you describe him?
Well, he wasn't perfect, but he was a lot better than me.
Okay, I'll grant that. Did he have any flaws or difficulties or problems adjusting to the relationship?
A few.
For example?
Well, he had a terrible temper. But so did I. And he would, when we would get into an argument, he wouldn't speak to me for, like, well, the longest he went was 7 days.
So he had a terrible temper. He sometimes wouldn't speak to you for a long time.
But see, I think, or he says, that if he had known more about me, then he wouldn't have treated me that way. I don't know if that's true or not.
Interesting. So, if he'd known...
He would have been less likely to be so cruel. That's what he says.
So one of the things you're telling me is Eric sometimes was cruel. Behaved in ways that felt kind of cruel. Okay, interesting. Eric's got a terrible temper. Eric sometimes wouldn't speak to you if you guys got in a fight. He wouldn't come back and try to work things out. He might give you the silent treatment for days at a time.
Right.
And he would often do things that were kind of cruel, maybe out of ignorance, maybe because he didn't know you well enough, but he would do that. How does that jive with the notion that you're almost wholly responsible for problems in the relationship?
Well, because if he had, I don't know, maybe he wouldn't have done it if I hadn't lied from the beginning of the relationship.
It's possible. We don't know that for sure.
Not for
It's
sure,
possible.
but...
Sure, okay. Now, suppose Eric had been really very skilled in relationships, and suppose if he'd got an inkling that you weren't wholly honest, he'd say, you know, you could be honest with me. Or suppose if you guys had a fight, he could stop and say, look, I get kind of angry, but it sounds like you're kind of angry too. What's happening for you? Let me tell you what's happening for me. Suppose he would have said, I'm ready to talk with you when you're ready to. Let's see if we can talk this through. Suppose he hadn't behaved in cruel ways, even if there was provocation. Do you think that would have helped? Interesting. Suppose you'd been married to Eric and Eric had all those abilities, and that might have helped. Would that have shifted how responsible you are?
I don't know, because I mean, even if someone were that good, I would still probably try to be manipulative.
Yeah, for that. And we can look over the next couple of weeks at just how true that really is, and if so, where that comes from. But suppose Eric had really been Eric the good. Suppose Eric would have had all these skills, and I don't mean to blame him, because God knows I don't know how to do those things, at least in the beginning of relationships either. But suppose Eric had known how to do all of those things, that might have helped at least some, might at least stretch things out some.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, at least in part, some of what went wrong in the relationship, maybe a lot of it we can lay at your doorstep, but it sounds like part of it is that Eric may not have known how to do some of the kinds of things that might help people get through rough times early in relationships.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know anybody who's that good.
Especially not the first try. Yeah.
Interesting. And stemming from the sense that your work is really serve, feel straight with people. See, I can see at least an alternative perspective here. I don't know what the actual truth is, but I'd love to spend the next couple of weeks sorting it out with you, sort of weeks, months, years, whatever, sorting it out with you. And one perspective is that you're just limited to doing bad and doing things to other folks. And that's irreparably because of what you had to do. Your motivation to just all screwed up. And the other perspective is that you may have walked into that relationship or other relationship believing that you are damaged, that you're worthless, and that you can't really deal directly with people, so that you end up making bad bargains, not being direct about reasonable compromises, and the folks know what you want and what they want, going through that negotiation back and forth.
Yeah, but believing is just kind of is.
Dreaming just kind of is. Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, if I believe it, then it is. Because I believed that Eric didn't love me, so
Yeah.
I acted on that.
Yes, it influenced how you felt and what you did. No question about that. That's what we talk about here all the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Does that necessarily mean Eric didn't love you?
No.
Okay. So that could be
No.
an error.
Yes. But it screwed everything up.
Yes, sure did. Now,
So the only thing to do is just try not to screw up in the future, right?
and how you gonna do that?
I don't know. I have to start liking myself more first, I think. But I don't know how to do that.
Couldn't hurt. Now, let me just ask you again. It sounds like there's two possible reasons why you screwed up. Two possible alternatives. Can you fill in the 2 blanks? What are the 2?
That I really am bad, or if I believe I'm bad.
If it's possible that you're wrong about you being bad, that you were not really loving you, interesting.
That would be very good. But I don't know, it just seems so ingrained.
Been around for a long time, since age 15. Which one do you think your dad would bet on? Which one do you think your mom would bet on?
I don't know that my dad even thinks.
Okay.
Uh,
If your mom were looking at those.
well, my
two
mother would think
alternatives,
that it was believed, I guess.
that having
She
false
wouldn't really
beliefs
think
screwed you up.
that I was bad. But that's my mother. Somebody else might think.
And what evidence do you have?
Well, the things that I did.
You got some evidence. You screwed up with Eric, you tell lies, boom, okay? Any evidence that goes the other way?
Well, I mean, I think I was wrong. I mean, I think Eric did love me.
What evidence do you have?
I just believe it.
One more concrete here. You argue the case for the jury. What possible evidence might you have there? Might, at least at some point in time, we want you.
I just know he did. I know he did.
Sure.
He did. He was good to me.
Treated
He
you
married me.
decently. Okay, the eyes roll again.
I don't know how he could have done it.
How did you pull the wool over his eyes for that long?
I don't know.
Okay. You seem to be operating in good faith when you guys went off to Dallas.
Mhm.
You seemed hurt when you left him.
Mhm.
All those things look like some good night living.
Mhm.
Interesting. And how about the notion that you're bad or worthless? You have some evidence that says maybe
He
so.
probably really believes that.
Now,
Yeah.
you think so?
Yeah, because he has no other experience or time, but it's kind of,
Doesn't quite understand where you're coming from. How about your mother-in-law?
he would be a little more receptive. And so would,
She
My
more
dad.
naive, so would.
well, I call
Mom and Dad,
him.
And they're more naive and he's a fool.
No, they're just older and wiser.
Oh, interesting. Older and wiser, they're a little more interesting. What do you make of that?
They just are.
I
They're,
mean,
they're,
older.
Eric just sees more in black and white.
Yeah, interesting. So he does the kind of thing, like distortion sheet through that the bottom is.
He's very much that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So mom and dad, older and wiser, have a potentially more charitable view of you and what you did. Yeah.
Plus, maybe, I mean, I don't know, it's hard to say. Now, what I was gonna say was that they're kind of once removed, but I don't know, because they were, I mean, they were as much on my mind as Eric was when the whole thing was going on.
I'm concerned about them too. Interesting. So mom and dad, older and wiser, might have a somewhat more charitable view than possibly Eric and quite certainly than you do.
They'd be a little more understanding and sympathetic and things like that. Yeah.
And if you were just a manipulator from the word go, you're simply not really hurt people, it takes advantage of them, et cetera, do you necessarily have a charitable view?
No.
I mean, some people are that way.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think that they've just seen more, they've experienced more. So they've seen more people, tragedies and the way people screw things up.
They would excuse a Hitler or a Goebbels or somebody. who does
Oh,
really nasty
absolutely
things.
not.
So they can tell true victimizers from people that kind of muddle along and make mistakes, but do so without really being evil.
More so than Eric.
Interesting. So older, wiser mom and dad who can tell really bad people, people that have difficulties or problems and screens that are not mean to, maybe see you normal. No, that can. Even more so than you would.
I mean, I think Eric is, I don't know, he just kind of had this charmed life. None of his friends had any problems, and he never had any problems.
And to meet parents and they're all the time.
He just succeeded throughout life, and nothing bothers him.
So maybe when he's older, a little more mature, a little better view of the world, he'll have a little better picture of things.
Maybe. He is still rigid and unbending in lots of ways.
Now bring me back to